Welcome to Swell Academy, brought to you by Mr. Math. Today I'm showing you two-step equations. I chose to do this video a little bit different. I wanted to show you kind of algebra in a different way. Usually you're given an equation and you're told to solve it. So let's say you're given 2x minus 8 is equal, let's say 12, right? And they're asking, okay, what is x? What is the number that goes in here that'll satisfy this equation? But what I wanted to show you is kind of a reverse look at algebra. So let's just say I'm giving you x equals 20, right? This is the answer. Let's make it 10. Let's make it 10. We're gonna make this 10. So let's say I make it x equals 10. Now what I wanna do is show you basically what we're doing to get this number in reverse. Where is it coming from? How is it created? So first thing you would do is say, okay, let's take this number and let's say I want to find a number where if I doubled it, if I had two of them, if I had two tens, well then I would have 20. So if I have two tens, I would have 20. So basically, if x equals 10, and I want to double my x's and say I have two x's, then I would have a total of 20 because I have two tens. Now, let's say I also wanted to take 8 away from this 20 and subtract 8 from it and say, okay, 2x minus 8 is equal to 12. I've subtracted both sides. So let's say I wanted two tens. I know x is 10, and I want to take two tens and subtract 8 from it. Okay, I would end up with 12. And so what I've shown you is kind of like what happens when you get an answer, and then you double your answer or take away 8 from your answer, and basically ending up with your equation, which is what I had here. All right. Now I can show you how to solve this type of equation. Obviously, I want to do that. So, you know, when you're solving two-step equations, the goal is to get x by itself. The goal is to get and solve for what x is, which we know is 10. Now, how to do that is basically go in reverse of what we did here and get x by itself. So if we wanted two tens and take 8 away from it, well, let's add 8 to both sides to see what it would be if it were just a 2x. Now what we do to one side, we do the other, and by sides, we're talking about the sides of the equal sign. So you're kind of talking about, as far as sides, the sides are split by this equal sign here. Now 12 plus 8, 20. Okay, now remember here we took the 10 and multiplied it by 2. Just like here we took the 8 and subtracted it. So we're kind of, you know, doing the opposite, those inverse operations. So if the 2 is next to a variable, that is multiplication. So what you want to do is the opposite of that, and you want to divide. Now if I divide both sides and saying, okay, 2 of what gives me 20? Well, 2 of tens. And what I wanted to do, and what we're trying to look at here, is just kind of looking at it in two different directions. One, given what our answer is and coming up with an equation of how to work with that number. And now, you know, given this unknown, which to start we knew it was 10, and then solving for what was left. Now, what I want to look at is kind of what your strategy is going to be when you're given, let's say you're given an equation like 3x plus 9 is equal to 18, right? Now, you want to get x by itself, so you're going to do things in reverse. You have multiplication here, you have the 3 multiplying to the x, and then you have the 9, which is adding, right? So if we're going to get x by itself, we're going to have to do the opposite and divide and subtract. But which to do first? Well, you could do division first. You could do that. And that means you would have to divide everything here, right? And you end up with x plus 3 is equal to 6. And then since you are adding, you're going to need to subtract, and you get x equals 3. definitely a way you could solve it, but what happens is you run into a problem when you get a question such as this, where in order to get rid of the 3 and you want to divide, you'll have to divide everything. Now if we do that here, you end up with x plus 5 over 3 equals 17. Now, these are not the numbers we want to be working with. Okay, so the idea is you usually, with two-step equations, you usually want to do your addition and your subtraction first. That's what you want to look at first. So looking at this question, you wanted to do 3x plus 9 is equal to 18. What you actually wanted to do was subtract the 9 and then divide by the 3. So usually your second step, it is a two-step equation, your second step is going to be the division and the multiplication. That'll be your second step. That's usually, and the reason for that is because if you're looking at order of operations, this involves grouping. This multiplying involves grouping. So if you have the grouping, getting rid of the 9 is an easier piece to move to the other side of the equation. And then same thing here, if I were able to do that with this equation, 3x plus 5 is equal to 17, and I choose to subtract first, get rid of this number that's just simply adding, not grouping, well then I end up with that 3x is equal to 12, and then I could divide, and it's an easy number to work with, 4 here. And I don't have to deal with any of these fractions. I don't want to work with this. This is not. So usually what I tell students is, okay, first you want to work with this, like I said, the addition, subtraction. Second, the multiplication, division. Another good example I want to take a look at is just as a kind of bonus question, some curveballs you might want to run into, or you might run into, is one with a fraction, which is going to involve some. Now this fraction bar means division. So in order to get rid of this, we're going to have to do some multiplication. And then the other thing you want to keep an eye on is you may run into two-step equations with this negative, which is really telling me this is a positive. So what I want to do is change this equation like I did here, basically make this negative a positive 4. And we talked about this importance of getting rid of the positive or the adding 4 initially as our first step, because again, this is taking a number and splitting into 4 groups. This is the grouping. We want to do this second. So you have your x over 4 is equal to 6. And then we want to multiply both sides by 4, right? This is dividing, so we're going to multiply. You get x equals 24. Now, another great thing to do while you're doing algebra, especially if you're unsure of this, is take this answer, all right, and check your work. Check your work here, and you'll say, okay, if I take 24, and I divide it up into groups of 4, I would have 6. And if I did not add, I added. And 6 plus 4 is in fact 10. And so I know here my answer is correct. Remember, math is easy with hard work. The more you fail, the more you succeed. Make sure to subscribe. There will be other videos to follow. I think we'll start taking a look at variables on both sides. Question like this. On the next video. Hope this helped. Thanks for stopping by.